Hey guys, I wanted to spend a few minutes today to talk about our Learn to Solder kit. It looks something like this, and when you put it all together, it looks like this. So before we get started, maybe I should talk about why one would want to buy this kit and why one would want to put it together. Well, soldering, you might hear that term around people who are working with electronics. Soldering basically means fusing metal components onto a board. So if you look at this, we have a few components. We have a LED here, or a light, a little baby light. We have a switch. The switch turns things off and on. We have a resistor. For those of you who don't know, the resistor helps resist electricity so that our components don't overheat or get too much energy and explode or something. So that's something we learn in class. And then we have the battery right here, which looks like it's a coin cell battery, kind of like a watch battery, and then a battery holder, which is this shiny object that's encasing the battery here. Now, what does this thing do? Well, once you're done, you turn it on with this little switch, and you notice that it's blinking with this all these different colors. So what can you do with this thing? Well, maybe it becomes a pin that goes on you, or somehow convert it to a keychain, or just something that you put in your room because this is something cool that you soldered yourself. So the important thing is not how cool the thing is. I mean, that's, it's interesting. You could show it off, but it's really about the learning process. And actually, that's what all of our products are about. It's about what you learned. It's about the process rather than always focusing on the product of it. That being said, we still want it to look pretty cool. I think this thing's pretty cool. By the way, I need to give a shout out to Vincent Koch from Malaysia. He actually designed this thing for us. So thank you, Vincent. So before we get started, we got to make sure we get all the parts. So the first thing that we need a soldering iron. And this is nothing special about a soldering iron. You can get it from anywhere. Fry's Electronics, Amazon. You could probably get it from Target, different places. So just make sure you get a soldering iron. And again, it doesn't really matter what type. The other one is the solder. So this is the molten metal that's going to go onto the areas that you're going to try to fuse together. So that's called the solder. There is something to note when you're buying solder. To make your life easier, I really recommend the rosin core solder. So just look for the word rosin core when you're looking for solder. The reason why is that the rosin core helps you easily fuse metal pieces together. So it has something in there, and another word for it is flux. Flux basically helps all the solder go to where it's supposed to go. So if you don't get a rosin core solder, you might need to get a different thing. Let's see, I think I have it here. So this is flux. You would have to get separate flux and put it on the joint, kind of like a glue, and then put your soldering iron over it. And so it can get kind of messy, so I don't recommend that. So you want to get a rosin core solder. Okay. After you have those two things, you need your kit. So I'm just going to open it up and see what's inside there, and then we'll get started. All right, so let me open this guy. All right, you got a card here telling us to go to the website for instructions. So hopefully that's how you found it. If not, but you found this anyways. Don't have to worry about that right now. This is our electronics board. We call it also a PCB board, or printed circuit board. So that's where all our solder parts are going to go. Cool. We have that. We have our fancy little light, or we call it an LED. It's got two legs. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but we've got that one. We have our battery holder, the thing that encases the battery. We also have the coin cell battery, the watch battery kind of thing. Our resistor, and we should remember now the resistor helps us resist electricity. So we got one of these, we want to make sure we have that. And then, last but not least, our switch here, so we can turn our awesome thing off and on. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started soldering. All right, I have everything here. Let's go ahead and get started. First thing I would recommend is this flat piece right here, the battery holder. So let's go ahead and try that. Now, let's make sure we get it on the right side. This is the front of it. The battery holder is on the back. So we need to flip this guy over. And then we're going to take this and we're going to look into see how do we want to get it. Is it this way or is it this way? So actually, we want to match these little two curvy points down here. So it's going to go like that. Now, this thing is still, it's loose, obviously. So we need to put some solder on there. So what I'm going to do, I got my soldering iron. It's super hot. Just, you know, the average temperature that you're probably looking for, about 315 degrees Celsius, something like that. Some soldering irons don't have a temperature gauge. You just plug in and it goes. But they're going to be around that temperature. Just kind of a little tidbit. All right, so I'm going to put solder over these two little side areas. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to heat up the solder. See some smoke coming. So I heat up the solder and see it's just going to fuse. It's going to fuse to that little area. And it kind of went there because I was talking about that flux before, or the rosin core that helps it go where it's supposed to go. So the solder should just go to the silver part. And then I'm going to do this side too. Boom. Both sides. So now I got solder here and solder here. Not bad. Let's go ahead and do this. All right. Now, this part, all I have to do is kind of hold it in the right position and then heat it up on the bottom. And then as it melts, it's going to fuse on top of where it's supposed to go, and then you let go, and then we're good. Now, over here, okay, so I notice if you look closely at it, it's kind of shifted a little bit too much. It's shifted a little bit too much that way. So I'm going to heat this part up again so I can move it back. So let me try that. I'm going to heat up a little bit and move it back the other way. And that is a lot better. Okay, now I'm going to do this side. This side right here. Same thing, I'm going to heat up. There you go. Cool. So now I got both sides and it's securely on there. Here's what the joint looks like. I'm going to give you a closer view there. Okay. All right, and it's solid. It shouldn't be shaking or, wiggling at all. So that's good. All right. Now let's flip this guy over. And let's see what we got here. We've got the resistor. Let's put the resistor in. This one's easy. The resistor has two legs. When we're working with kids, it's a lot of times they ask, can we bend the legs? Yeah, no problem. You can bend the legs. And then you're going to see R1 right here. That's where for R for resistor. And we're going to put the holes, or the legs, into those two holes like this. Let's get to, boom, boom, we push it in. Good. Now, I like to kind of turn it over and hold it down here as I turn it so it doesn't fall through, and then bend, and now it's like in there, secure. Kind of, semi-secure. Now let's use our solder to get it really secure. Again, we'll take some solder, put it over the leg in the hole area. Okay, that was pretty fast. And then we'll do the other side. Boom. And then we have it look like that. Okay. Now later on, you can get some clippers and just clip here and clip here. Actually, you don't even need clippers. You could use like little scissors. Okay. and then you just click or cut there, cut there. Okay, looking good. So now I got my battery holder and my resistor on. Oh, one thing to note with the resistor, I forgot to mention, you know, you may ask, should I put, where do I put the legs? Does it matter if like one leg has to go here, one leg has to go there, or the opposite? It doesn't matter. So put the legs in either. You can't mess it up. Okay. Now another one is we're actually almost done here. Okay, we got this guy, the switch, and you're gonna see S1 right there. Let's go ahead and put our switch. The 3 holes will match up. Boom, just like that. Now this is a little tricky because you're like going like this and you're trying to do it. Oh, they fell out. So this is what you gotta do. You gotta put it in like this, and then as you're holding it, we're going to turn it over. Check that out. It did not fall out this time. And then you got the 3 spikes right here. Let's go ahead and heat up, put some solder, heat it up. Boom, number 1 is done. Number 2. Now I like to check to hear, okay, see, I kind of, you know, it's gonna work fine. I don't know if you can see it like that, but okay, if you look at this, my switch is a little bit crooked. Now, if you're a perfectionist, like me, or sometimes I am, I guess, but you know, I'm kind of a perfectionist right now. I don't really like this. I don't like the that it's like the Leaning Tower of Pisa thing going here. So what should I do? Well, all I have to do is heat it up and it becomes melted and gooey again and malleable, and I can fix it. And then I let it cool and then it hardens the way I want it to. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna heat it up. And as it's heated, I'm going to move this. I'm going to use my finger to move it. And then I let it harden. And then now look. It looks a lot straighter. That is satisfactory for me. Okay, now let's finish the 3rd one. So that's something to know, guys. If it's not what you want, all you got to do is heat, fix, and then just let it set. You know, let it set in the place where you want. When it cools down, it's going to be just like you want it. All right, so then now we got that. All right, now this is the part where, we got the switch. We've got the, you know what? Look, it's still like slightly crooked. I'm going to fix that. I'm going to fix that. So I'm going to heat it up. Oh, beautiful. Straight. Okay, now there's the one last part. The light. All right, so this is actually where you might mess up a little bit. I want you to look closely at this guy. If you look closely, the light has 2 legs, and one leg is slightly longer than the other. We talked about this in our classes. The longer one is plus, okay? The longer one is plus. Now, why is that important? Let's look here. There's 2 holes right here in the middle. I'm gonna grab this thing. Right here, you're gonna see these 2 holes. That's where your light's gonna go. And if you turn it around, it says LED 1. Okay, now check it out. If you look closely, you may not be able to see on the screen. I think you probably do. There's a little plus sign. Long leg is plus. Long leg is plus. Remember that. So the long leg goes into the plus. Now, this would work. That would work, but I've put it in backwards. So yeah, let's pay attention to that too, right? The light, the light bulb should be on this side, so that's not good. So you got to put the long leg on the plus, which is, just double check. Yeah, that's the plus. So the plus goes there, and then you put it all the way through, and then kind of like my resistor, I'm going to hold, and then pull the legs out like that. And then now it's semi-secure. Now to make sure we get it to really get on there, we're going to have to solder. Boom, 1 leg, 2 leg. That looks great. And then I'm going to use my little scissors and cut this off. Okay. Okay, now Now we see, did I do everything correctly? Let's try. We're gonna take this and put it in. Plus is over here, minus down here. This is plus, so we should have plus facing up. Let's go ahead and put our battery in. Okay, it's slid in there. Nice. All right, now let's flip the switch and hopefully it turns on. It works. Awesome. So look what we just did. We learned about soldering, and not only did we learn, we actually did it, and we have this cool little thing to show our friends and family. All right, guys, hopefully that was helpful. We talked about why it's important to learn about soldering, and you actually learn how you could do it in the comfort of your own home. So have fun with this. Hopefully you guys will check out the project. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to reach out. We're here to help. Take care, stay safe out there, and be encouraged, because that's what we're about. Encouragement through robotics. All right, take care, guys.